want to figure out what's causing their health issue. And so we want to go through and do that. And so I'm going to go through here and look at these different things, that criteria, or things we would record and ask questions about. And then we can talk about them as we go through. Again, some of these are going to be reviewed for those of you who are in the medical profession. Some of them will be, I think, also new. So the first thing we ask is we find the identifying data. We want to know things like age.
Personal information.
What's that?
That's personal info in our time.
Yeah, a lot of personal information like their age, gender, race. Are they married? Do they have children? Where are they from? These sorts of things. Just general identifying information. So some of that can be important when you're looking at different diseases. There are some races that are more prone to different lifestyle diseases. So it is helpful to know that, especially if you're sharing this information with someone else. So these are the things you're going to want to gather. This is just identifying information. And then you want to ask about their chief complaints. In other words, what are the main health issues that they have that they want addressed? So we want to know if they're coming, maybe they're a diabetic and they want to get that addressed. Or they have hypertension, or they have heart disease, whatever it is, right? Cancer, whatever it is, we want to know what is their chief complaint, and so we're going to say list one or more things that they're wanting to address. And then the history of their present illness or illnesses. So we want to record all the details of the progression of their chief complaints to the present time. So maybe they would go back, if they're a diabetic, they're going to go back maybe 5 years, and that's when they came into the hospital for a checkup and their blood sugar was high in the labs that they had. And so then from then they were prescribed a medication, and they didn't do any lifestyle changes, and so it got worse, and then they got put on insulin, and now they're on maybe 20 units of insulin per day. So you want to just record, when that happened, the progression of those details that led up to their chief complaint. Maybe they were hospitalized for an amputation, because they had some infection due to the diabetes issue. So you record all of those things, those details of what's happened so far concerning the chief complaint, right? That's what you're focused on here. Also medications, so it is important to know, especially for the healthcare providers, to know what medications they're on. And with the medications, what medications are they currently being taken, and also be sure to give the name, dosage, frequency. I think those are very common things when you're asking about medications, but you want to take that down. Because if they're taking full dosage of a medication, then that tells you something compared to if they're only taking half dosage. Maybe their case is not so serious that they don't need a full dose of that, whatever blood pressure medication or diabetic medication, whatever it is that they're taking. The next is any allergies. So we want to list all allergies, and that way we will hopefully know whether there's any potential issues. It might be allergies to medications, or it might be allergies to other things that could be problematic for them. So we would want to know about that. And then we're going to get into the past history. So this is dealing with a lot of things. I have an acronym that I made just to help me to remember the different things so that I have it. And that's CASH PM. And so the first one is, the C is childhood illnesses and immunizations. So we want to know what illnesses do they have, how old were they. So I think I was 8 years old and I had the chicken pox, right? So that would be like an example of childhood illness, and also the age, and then also any immunizations. So growing up, did they get immunized? What was also the age of those immunizations? Okay? So, next one is the A, adult illnesses. So we want to list major illnesses when they're an adult. So whatever their illnesses that they've had that are major illnesses as an adult, issues going on. So these are your diabetes, maybe your cancer, anything. Maybe they've had a stent because they have heart disease. Whatever the case may be, we want to list all of those major illnesses when an adult. Next one is surgeries, the S. So we want to list any surgeries and the date of those surgeries. Hospitalizations, so list any hospitalizations, the reason they were hospitalized, and also the date. So a lot of this, I mean, it's, for those who are nurses, this is kind of the stuff you just get on when they come into the hospital. And it's important because when they're coming in for, like at UG Pines, for example, where we had a lifestyle center, we need to know this information because it makes a difference when we are going to give like hydrotherapy, when we're going to give herbs. We don't want to use aloe vera if they're allergic to aloe vera, right? So we want to be aware of these sorts of things when we're working with individuals. And so it's important to have a very thorough history of the individual. The next one is psychiatric treatment. So in other words, their mental health. List all the mental health issues that they've had. So if they've had episodes of depression, or say they've had maybe bipolar, or whatever the case may be, schizophrenic. So we want to list any of those things, any treatment that they've had for those. So that way we're aware of those particular issues. And then also the last one is men and women's health concerns. So these are issues specifically to men or women. Things like maybe the prostate health or pregnancy. Those are sorts of things that we want to ask about and get a history of. So, the next is the family history. So we want to give any relevant information concerning the family history, and this is specifically dealing with the diseases that are in the family. So, because a lot of times our diseases run in the family because lifestyle tends to be passed on from generation to generation. We sometimes we think that if just because their parents had diabetes, they're going to have it, but it doesn't have to be that way. I'm sure you've heard the saying that lifestyle loads the gun. Genetics loads the gun, lifestyle pulls the trigger. So genetics loads the gun, lifestyle pulls the trigger. It's your lifestyle that determines what happens, the expression of your genes. And Dr. Julia will get into that more in one of her lectures, I think, at some point here. So we want to know what's the family history of the health, because again, that we could see they might have similar health issues that may come to them, or that they might already be dealing with. You know, for example, in my own health, when I was my grandfather, he had problems with heartburn. My father had problems with heartburn, and I also had problems with heartburn. And so these things they can be passed along from generation to generation, and so that's why it's really important we know what's the family history. Social history, and this acronym I use is LOS, RX. Living conditions is the first one with the social history that we want to look at. Give information about the individual's living conditions, like again, who are they living with, how long is his or her relationship with those people, or how is their relationship. So maybe they're living in a
geographic area.
Well,
geographic areas.
It could be in a particular geographic area. It could be also maybe they're living with their wife and their son and daughter, but they are not getting along with their wife. So we want to know that, because as we're trying to work with people, we need to know what's going on with their relationships in their family. Okay? So, and also other things, living conditions in general. What are their living conditions like? Maybe it's very poor living conditions, poor sanitation. I know when I served on the island of Pohnpei for about 7 years, and I went to they were villages of outer islanders. And I think that the sanitation there was not very good because many of them, the children have boils and other skin issues going on. So, the living conditions where they're living can also have a big influence on them. Specifically here, though, we want to focus especially on